Hello, Sambazaji. This is Sambaza with the Sambaza podcast. Today is day 4 of my challenge. I went ahead and listened to a podcast about books, authors. So this is the African Author Podcast. It was for Nkem Creatives. That's the customer. I got to remember this because it's just the first time and I have to recite it all over again. So excuse me if I'm missing it. However, and Esther Okuru is the guest of the show. Now, what is interesting about this particular podcast is that they actually are talking to the author of the book and trying to find out the life behind the book or why they wrote the book. But of this particular one, I think it's specific for her, Esther, who talks about her boyfriend who passed on 5 months after their wedding. So she started from a blogger to a podcast, from a blogger to a writer, not podcaster, writer. And then she wrote this amazing book and people have been congratulating her and she has had great views. One thing I like about the podcast, man, when it starts, the song, it's really nice. You actually start dancing to the beat before it starts. And the end, because it's the start and the end, intro and outro. Very nice intro and outro. And the host is very, very precise and lets the author talk. And it has this feeling where they're not interjecting, but they are having this conversation where as much as they say she's listening to that particular, the host, but the guest, and when the guest speaks and says something, they're just adding on to whatever they had. This is one of the great podcast styles that I like, and I'm looking forward to listening to more. So the Africa Author Podcast is a great podcast by the Nkem Creatives. And the guest this week was Miss Esther Okuru. All right, Wasambazaji, that is my spiel for day 4 and looking forward for the rest. Go ahead, Wasambazaji.